welcome to the very first episode of Reality Check, a series in which we use mathematics and science to figure out how and if fiction applies to the real world. Rather than using my engineering studies to solve real-world problems, let's take a look at the real issues plaguing our society. Unrealistic physics in video games. Is Link traversing a small park when he's navigating Hyrule, or a small country? Calling all gamers, we are reality checking Zelda. Alright, hoity-toity intro over. Let's get down to business and calculate the actual size of Hyrule and Ocarina of Time first. To do this, let's grab the height of our short king, Link. Trust me, this will be important for later. Exposed for all the women in the world, to judge Link's height, we can go to the lakeside laboratory at Lake Hylia and discover the diving pool that is measured in meters. Oh, what a shame. I was hoping it would be measured in the arbitrary and impractical imperial system of feet and inches. But it's American, so I love it. Anyways, let's get back to killing off half of Link's female fan base. At the bottom of the lakeside laboratory, Link stands at a whopping 4 feet and 11 inches tall. Aw, he still needs his booster seat. Hey, make fun of him all you want. I don't see any of you lifting anything this heavy. Now that we have Link's height, we should now calculate the length of the hookshot. The reason why we need to do this is to have a set known distance that Link can run. We will then time him running this distance to obtain his velocity. Why is this so important, you ask? We'll get there. Don't worry. Freeze framing the game at the hookshot's maximum length and proportionally applying pixels in relation to Link's height reveals the hookshot is 18.6 meters long. And yes, I know this is the long shot, Zelda nerds. I just don't feel like saying it. The cards are all set. Let's time Link running a thrilling and exciting race. That wasn't as exciting as I thought it would be. Well, as it turns out, Link runs 18.6 meters in 4.25 seconds. We can finally determine how fast Link is by dividing the distance ran by the time clocked in. With that, Link's official speed in Ocarina of Time is 4.38 meters per second. Hey, that may seem slow, but the average speed of a competitive marathon runner is about 3.13 meters per second, placing Link as one of the most competitive in the world. And since we are trekking Link across the entirety of Hyrule with heavy gear and a yapping fairy, this is impressive. Let's finally calculate how large Hyrule is. To do this, we're going to time how fast it takes Link to run in a straight line from the horizontal endpoints of the map as well as the vertical endpoints of the map. We will then be able to find the distance of Hyrule as a whole. Let's start from the southern endpoint, which is at the bottom of Lake Hylia. The northernmost endpoint of Hyrule is this wall in the northern Death Mountain crater. But Jojo, how will you calculate a correct time when you can't run to those areas? Well, we have a tool at our disposal to make things easier. Cheating. With this moon jump mod applied, we can maintain our straight line as accurately as possible. Link's velocity is thankfully constant while moon jumping to keep our speed consistent, so we will time our moon jump over this body of water and add it to our time as we start running on land. The trek from southern Hyrule to the northern endpoint was very interesting. The moon jump helped us traverse over gates and walls fairly easily, allowing us to maintain our almost straight line. I didn't stop the timer for loading zones, as I will be making the approximation that the loading time is consistent with Link's positioning. I floated over the entirety of Death Mountain to do this as well because of its high elevation, and it took me 3 minutes and 58 seconds to reach the northern endpoint of Hyrule. At last, now we can calculate the height of Hyrule by multiplying Link's velocity by our time obtained to reach a distance of 1,042.44 meters. That's about 11 football fields. Let's keep calculating. Now let's see how wide our baby girl is. Don't call fictional geographical locations baby girl. The eastern endpoint of Hyrule is this wall at the end of Zora's Fountain, and the westernmost point of Hyrule is the Spirit Temple. This trek was a lot more complicated. First and foremost, we had to hop this little fence in our way in order to reach the tip of the waterfall, where we then paused our timer and started it again when we went around Zora's domain back to the actual base of the waterfall. We then navigated the swervy Zora's River as efficiently as possible and ran into the literal hurdle that is Lon Lon Ranch, so we jumped the entirety of it. It was beautiful. One trek through the desert later, and I found myself reaching the Spirit Temple in 4 minutes and 54 seconds. Excellent work, Link. I'm sure running cross country at such a high speed wasn't a grueling venture. Remember our little simple formula of velocity equals distance divided by time? Well, we're using it again to calculate the width of Hyrule. Let's again rearrange the formulas to where we are finding distance, and the width of Hyrule is 1,305 305.24 meters, just slightly wider than it is taller, fitting the rectangular shape of its map. With that, Hyrule's been thinking about taking a Pilates class to lose that winter fat. Oh, it's just find a good time with the kids and work with their schedule and dinner with the timeline. They can't cancel that again. We can finally calculate the area of Hyrule. When multiplying our two distance values of 1042.44 meters and 1305.24 meters, we receive a final area of 1.36 square kilometers or 0.53 square miles for my fellow Americans. Okay, so how big is this number actually? 1.36 square kilometers is fairly tiny and about half the size of Central Park in New York City. What a disappointing distance. The country of Hyrule turned out to be a baby playground for Link. Fitting though, as he's 4'11". Well, see you guys next time in Reality Check. And don't forget to— wait! Not so fast. This couldn't possibly be the original vision for the size of Hyrule. Your epic adventure across the land shouldn't be relegated to a playground. Me saying this doesn't come from a personal vendetta. This comes from older game developers speaking about the limitations of hardware and warping map size. Let's keep in mind that Ocarina of Time released on the Nintendo 64, and there's only so much memory they can use to show off Hyrule. The developers knew about these limitations and wanted to convey to us that Hyrule is much bigger than, well, it literally is. But how did they do this? Well, through a clever usage of a warped day-night cycle. Time. In order to create the illusion of a larger world, the developers of Ocarina of Time have it to where 24 hours in-game is actually 3 minutes and 50 seconds in real time, 376 times faster than real life. Now, this doesn't mean that Link's speed and actions of the NPCs in the overworld are 376 times faster. This absurdly short day-night cycle is meant to convey how much time is actually passing as Link is traversing the overworld. The way we approach this to calculate Hyrule's warped area size would be to take a look at our width and height of Hyrule, move the decimal over 3 spots to have kilometers instead. Trust me, this is going to get big. Multiply both these numbers by 276 because time is moving 276 times faster in this world, and we have a final area of 192,278.87 square kilometers. Now that's what I'm talking about. I'm sure you all want a real world size comparison, and we have a perfect match. The state of Washington. Hyrule is actually about 3,000 square miles, slightly bigger than Washington. Let's take a look at our handy-dandy map superimposed on the state. Finally, having this visual representation of one of the greatest games ever made is so cool. Visually, it looks like every region of Hyrule is about the size of a county from the state. So, whatever state and county you're in, think about it as if you're in a region from Hyrule. One little fun thing too is that it appears that Hyrule Castle Town is about the same size as Seattle. Pretty cool. So, in conclusion, Hyrule's literal size is half of Central Park, and its warped map size is that of the state of Washington. Congratulations to the citizens of Washington for something. Hyrule has been reality checked. Thank you for experiencing the very first episode of Reality Check, our new weekly series that will expand to many realms. Next time we will cover Wind Waker's iteration of Hyrule and expand to many games and movies. Thank you, and remember, it's fun to sub to the JoJo Jet's Cult Club.